So introducing you all to our very own guest, Mrs. Shivani Malhotra. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Dhruv. Thank you so much for having me over on this e-interview. Pleasure to be here.
Shivani Malhotra is a co-founder and CEO of Positive Vibes Consulting, State President of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Haryana Human Resource Council. So, ma'am, we would want to know about your journey.
Sure. So my journey started way back in 2004 when I passed out from my B school, SCMHRD. And just like any other, corporate, like any other management graduate, I also wanted to get into a good corporate role, a good job, a cushy life, and experience, what it is to work in the corporate sector, because I am primarily probably the only one in my family who's joined the corporate world. All my, my parents, my cousins, my extended family, everybody's been in the government sector. We're a family of lawyers and civil servants. So you can imagine that going into a corporate sort of a world, sort of a scenario is very different. So I wanted to really experience it. And I had no one in my in my house or in my family to give me guidance on what it's going to be like when I joined the corporate. So it was a very interesting journey. I started off with my first company was DCM Shriram, where I had an excellent stint in the factory. I started off working in the factory, and at that time I used to think that why do I have to be in a remote location, why do I have to be in a factory? But I think today when I look back, I think that was one of the best stints in terms of learning, in terms of learning from the ground. I think that was one of the best stints that I had in my career. And then I worked with them for 3 years, in the factory for 1 year, and then at the corporate for 2 years. And then I moved on. I wanted to experience the flavor of a multinational company. I wanted to experience how is it like working in an MNC. I had no issues at DCM. I had a great, growth, awesome, super work, but I just wanted to sort of explore the world a little bit more. And so I decided to join Yum, which is the parent company of Pizza Hut, KFC, and now Taco Bell in India. And very different environment, very different working culture, but again, a lot of learning, lots and lots of good practices in HR. In fact, they were, pioneers in introducing good HR practices, which were unheard of in those times in terms of 360-degree feedback, in terms of IDPs, in terms of the whole talent management process. So a lot of learning there as well. A lot of honing of my HR skills there as well. And then worked with them again for 3 years, and then went to the Middle East. Where I had a stint with consulting, and where I eventually realized that this is probably what I want to do in the long run. I worked with KPMG in Qatar and Bahrain for about, again, 3 years. I don't know, somehow this number 3 stuck to me in the corporate journey. And then, so I was working in the People and Change Advisory, which was essentially an HR consulting division of KPMG, wherein I got to do very exciting projects. We were, in fact, I was leading a project there, which required the setting up of the complete HR setup for the office of Her Highness of Qatar. So it was one of the most prestigious projects for KPMG, and I led that project for about 2 years. So it was a great experience working in a different geography, working with different kind of people. So that sort of helped me in adapting my own skills, to the stakeholders that I was to manage. So that was, again, more in terms of, more than the learning on HR or anything else. The learning was more in terms of adapting myself, to cater to stakeholders belonging to a completely different culture, a completely different geography, a completely different way of working. So I think that made me a much more adaptable professional, and something that, helped me shun my sort of rigidity in terms of the kind of people that I will work with, the kind of work that I will do. And eventually I realized probably this is something that I'll do in the long run. So then after that, I took a sabbatical for about, again, 2 years. And that was the time when my daughter was born. So I thought it's best that I focus on that aspect because it's a beautiful phase of life and I wanted to enjoy that. And then in 2015, we came back. I rejoined my first organization, DCM Shriram, at a senior role. But eventually, after a year, I realized that my calling is elsewhere. I thought I wanted to, experience entrepreneurship because I've always been fascinated with. I'm a very creative person, and you keep me in a role or in a in a setup where there is everything is the same. I don't thrive. I'm not a person who thrives on monotony. I need challenges in my profile. I need challenges in my work. So I took this upon myself as a challenge to, try and test myself whether I have the capability of starting something from scratch, nurturing it and watching it grow. And that's when I started with Positive Vibes Consulting. Something that is at the core of my heart is being a trainer. I always have been fascinated with the L&D space. So we started off as a corporate training company, and eventually we expanded, we diversified into HR consulting and offering professional certification courses. So today, Positive Vibes is doing corporate trainings. We are working with the best corporates in the country. We are doing HR consulting work both for corporates and startups. We are right now working with 4 startups, helping them set up their HR practices, HR processes, people strategy, building their teams. And for corporates also, we do HR consulting work in niche areas like talent management, like organization restructuring. We in fact just finished a project with one of the very reputed corporates of the country on organization restructuring of one of their complete business units. And the third wing that we started was more in the pandemic, which was around professional certification courses, which were accredited by SHRM. And we were offering those to people who are aspiring to, be HR professionals or make a name for themselves in the fraternity. So that's what, that's how my journey has been. Absolutely exhilarating and very satisfying. Of course, full of challenges, like any entrepreneur's journey is. It's not hunky-dory and fancy all the time. But what people see is the tip of the iceberg. Right. But what they don't see is the major block of ice under the water, which is, a lot of hard work, which is a lot of resilience, which is a lot of failure. And yeah, that's how the journey has been.
And it's a perfect example of what it looks like to follow your passion, right? So
it's yes, you win some, you lose some, but at the end of the day, you have to be happy.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the motivation from you because I really need that. Okay, ma'am, jumping on to the next question. What is personal branding according to you?
Okay, very interesting question. Personal branding, I think, has become a very, I would say, it's the buzzword these days. Everybody's talking about personal branding without even understanding what the term personal branding actually means. Right. While we've been hearing of branding in the context of sales and marketing, it's we associate branding usually with a company or an organization, right? So it is how the company acts, how the company serves people, what are the values that the company stands for, and how the company projects those values, essentially around that. But branding is just not for companies. Professionals have their own story to tell and their goals, their skills, and their experiences to share. So in today's world, I would say personal branding is the #1 requirement if you really want to do well in your professional career. And it's not just for entrepreneurs, it's for people working in corporates, it's for students passing out from a B school, starting their careers. It's for people who are freelancing, it's for people who have built businesses, it's for everyone. And the reason I say it's for everyone is because, it's become a necessity these days, because there is just so much of crowd. There is just so much of crowd in the market in any kind of space that you want to be in, that, differentiating yourself and your services and what you bring to the table has become absolutely essential. So you asking me what a personal brand is? I think personal brand is your story, that people tell others when you are not around.
Absolutely.
right? And it should highlight your strengths, establish a reputation. It should build trust in your stakeholders. And most importantly, it should communicate the unique attributes that you bring to your current stakeholders, the uniqueness in your work, the uniqueness about you. That is what personal branding is all about.
Right. So moving on to the next question, ma'am, could you please list a few things we should build a personal brand, and what's the significance of personal branding?
See, there are some. Could you please repeat that question once again?
Ma'am, we want to know that could you please list a few things where we should do what we should do to build our personal brand, right? And what the significance of personal branding?
Yeah. So significance part, I have just told you that it's become a way of life now. If you really want to, thrive in today's world, it's not, one of the myths that people think personal branding, people associate personal branding with is a lot of, bragging or trumpet blowing. If you're talking about yourself, it's not that at all. If your posts on social media are about not just what you have done, in terms of, I won this award and I won that award and I've done this and I've done that, but more importantly, what's the value that you have created for others in terms of your contribution? I think that differentiates the bragging part from actually building a personal brand. So personal branding is not bragging at all. It is about communicating to people what is your differentiated value, the value that you bring to the table, which others don't. And in that process, what's the value that you add to your clients, to your employers, to your stakeholders? That's what, in terms of why we should be doing personal branding. And now the more important question is, this is all that I've given you, वैसे करना चाहिए, but, the more important thing and something that comes to everyone's mind is कि करना कैसे है? How do we start building a personal brand? So there are, to start with, this is what I advise to everyone who asks me this question, that, I want to start building my own personal brand. How do I go about it? So my first advice to people is that, first of all, figure out who you are. Okay. I always recommend people to do a SWOT analysis of themselves. Do a SWOT analysis of yourself in terms of what are my strengths. Now, when I say strengths, you need to, know what are the work areas in which I excel? What is it that I'm good at? What motivates me? What are the characteristics that others have complimented me often on? Like, for example, for me, people used to compliment me on my public speaking skills, on my facilitation skills, on my problem solving skills. So I, took that as a strength that I have and started working on it further to hone my skills. So figure out what are your strengths. Also figure out things that you are not good at. Okay. The first step of personal branding is to be completely aware of who I am as a person. What am I good at? What am I not good at? Things that I'm not good at, I don't even touch those things. Okay. So for example, if I was to talk about my own work now, I've been working into, instructional design trainings and, people strategy. Now, when it comes to things like payroll, like compliance, etc., those are not my strengths. Okay. Because I've not worked into it much. And also I don't find interest in those kind of areas. Not to say that it's, those are areas that people should not be working on, but personally, I don't find myself excited to be working on areas like that. So I don't get into it. I know it is not my strength. So even if there is a project, if there is a business proposal regarding compliance, I'll connect my clients to people who are experts at it, rather than jumping myself into it, because I know ultimately, even if I build my knowledge on it, it's not something that really excites me. So why get into it? So it's very important to know yourself. What is it that you're good at? What is it that excites you? And what is it that does not excite you and you're not good at? So don't get into those things, right? And so what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities that I want to, get out of the ecosystem that I have? And what are some of the threats in terms of the competition, in terms of people doing the similar kind of work? I should be aware of all that, because like I said, it's a very crowded market anywhere. Whether it is you're in a job, whether you're in a business, whether you're offering any service, people are spoiled for choices. So what's in it that I bring to the table has to be a very differentiated offering. That's when you will get, you'll be able to see success in your professional life. So consider the skills and traits that you are good at and make you stand out. Identify the areas that you need to improve upon or gain knowledge in order to advance, and do a bit of forecasting also, that in the next 5 or 10 years, what are the attributes that I want to be known for. Okay, so that will help you to sort of have a focused approach to developing those attributes in yourself. Okay,
now we know that
that's the first one. Yeah.
So now we know that when building brand, it's important to self-awareness is important. Your
Absolutely
uniqueness is important, and you should be aware about your goals and targets, or real goals and targets are important. So yeah,
absolutely. So that is, the first step. Now, once you know that, once you have done that, SWOT analysis, I think what you need to spend time on is doing a thorough research of the desired industry that you want to get into. Again, as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, or as a professional working in a company, or a student just passing out, the desired industry that you want to get into, follow industry experts, follow successful people in the same profession and learn from their journey. Today we have a platform, an awesome platform like LinkedIn, where you can just, connect with people at the click of a button. And, so it's a great way to connect with mentors, and ask them questions like, how did you, make your way into the industry? What steps did you take to do it? How do they see the industry evolving? So I think all of this comes a long way in being seen as an expert eventually in the field that you are in. So, because see, in building a personal brand, your goal is to stand out, but you can't rise, to the top without taking inventory of who's already there. So learn from the people, who are at the top, and build yourself. Keep them as role models, and build and strive to build yourself. In the same way that they have built their personal brand.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing those valuable words. So just one last question, ma'am. Could you please just give a word of wisdom to me and all the youngsters who will be watching this?
Sure. I think the youngsters today know more than I do. They are very smart. They're more aware of, what they want to do in life. So I'm not going to give any gyan to anyone, but I'm just no wisdom nuggets from my side, but just, I would definitely like to share some, learnings that I have had in my journey, and especially related to, personal branding. So see, the first thing I would say is networking. I think I'm talking about networking because I personally ignored it for a long period of time, realizing that, I'm good at my work, and if somebody wants to give me work, they'll give me, not realizing that how will other people get to know that I'm good at my work. I've been working in different companies, so only the people in that company, my bosses, my other stakeholders, would know that I'm a good HR professional. But how does the world outside at large know that I'm a good HR professional, and I have a certain level of expertise? So my first, advice to everyone here is that please do invest your time in networking. And networking is not just adding connections or adding followers on LinkedIn. That is not networking. Networking is when you engage with your network, when you add value to your network, and eventually you help your network grow in their professional endeavors. That is when networking, you will get the benefits of networking yourself as well. So online social presence today is very, very important. So I would urge people, especially youngsters, to while everybody's on Instagram and on Facebook, which is good, but start an active presence on LinkedIn as well, because your personal branding as a professional is gauged a lot by the way you are present online. And LinkedIn is the best forum to start creating your personal brand. So most importantly, be consistent. So once you start, like I said, on LinkedIn, the endeavor should not be to add as many followers or as many connections. There's no point in having 20,000, 50,000 connections if your posts are not getting any engagement from those people. So expand your network of people who regularly engage on your posts. Have posts which are value adding. It's good to sometimes, put promotional posts or put posts of some achievement that you had. But once in a while, those posts are fine. But ultimately, it's all about adding value to the network. Like I said, what is it that your network can learn from you? That is what will make them engage on your content. So start having a consistency, on a consistent presence. And the word here is consistent. Not once in a week I open my LinkedIn, scroll through, like a few posts, comment and all of that. That's not going to help. Be consistent, spend some time, keep aside some time, 30 minutes or something every day, to focus on your own brand on LinkedIn, how you are engaging with people, what you are posting on LinkedIn. And I think that has a great impact in at least starting to build a personal brand. So and you guys are youngsters, are far more tech savvy than people like me, who struggle with technology. So it's an added advantage that you guys have. And I would say one is networking. Second is, I would say, be resilient. Anything takes time. Rome is not built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. But what I've seen is, we are in the times of instant gratification. It's instant popcorn. It's an instant cash coming out from ATMs, and it's instant coffee. So we've been sort of attuned to expecting instant results. If I start doing something, I started a business, it should just take off from day one, or I've started freelancing, I should start getting work from day one, or I've just joined an organization, within the next 1 year I should get a promotion. So that instant gratification probably has become a way of life. But what we don't understand is that nothing comes instantly, especially in your career. You have to work towards it, and in that process you will fall, you will have failures. You may not get promotions like the way you are expecting. Your business may not take off the way you expected it to take off. But eventually, if you are at it, and if you are really good at your work, and you couple that with networking, there is no way that you will not see success. But you have to be patient for it. So patience is a key skill for today's generation that I would really, really recommend. You guys are great in terms of your focus, in terms of knowing yourself, the self-awareness part. You guys are great at it. You know what you want in life, what you want to do in life. But more importantly, I think it's patience that everybody, not just Gen Z, I think everybody needs to work upon. Is that there is no instant gratification, especially when it comes to a professional career. You have to work hard, you have to give your 100%, you have to sweat it out. And if you are good at what you do, you will eventually see success. That's been my learning. I hope that's not too much of gyan.
No, ma'am, absolutely not, ma'am. Thank you so much. Even though I don't know what will others, reflect whatever you have said, but I am definitely going to take the valuable feedbacks and the lessons which you have told me right now. And we really want to thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time. And we really wish you a very best.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure interacting with you. And I hope this, what I have said today is able to benefit, people who are listening to this interview.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dhruv.
Thank you so much, ma'am.